Hello everyone and welcome to our another exciting episode of Literary Insights. Today we embark on a journey into the realm of formalism, a literary theory that has shaped the way we analyze and interpret literature. In this episode, we'll unravel the concept of formalism, identify its founding figures, and explore the critics and important works of key formalist critics. So let's get started. First, we'll see what is formalism. So, what exactly is formalism? Formalism is a literary theory that emerged into the early 20th century, emphasizing the examination of a literary work's form, structure, and linguistic elements rather than its socio-cultural context or authorial intent. It seeks to understand literature as a unique, self-contained system governed by its own rules and devices. I hope you understand. Now let's meet the father of formalism, Viktor Shklovsky. He is often credited as a pioneer of this literary theory. Shklovsky, born in 1893, introduced the concept of a defamiliarization, arguing that primary function of art is to make the familiar seem unfamiliar, thus enhancing our perception and engagement with it. Friends, Shklovsky may be the father, but formalism has a rich chorus of voices. Let's dive into some key critics and their important works. First up is Viktor Shklovsky himself. His work, Art as a Technique, is a cornerstone introducing the idea of a defamiliarization. It challenges conventional perceptions and invites a fresh look at the ordinary. Now let's see the notable works by Viktor Shklovsky. First is Art as a Technique, 1917. In this seminal essay, Shklovsky introduced the concept of a defamiliarization, arguing that the primary function of art is to present common objects and experiences in a way that challenges habitual perceptions. He emphasizes the importance of making the familiar unfamiliar to enhance the aesthetic experience. Next is Theory of Prose. 1925, Shklovsky expands on his formalist ideas in his work, providing a comprehensive analysis of a prose literature. He dwells into the relationship between form and content, exploring how the structure and style of a narrative contribute to its artistic value. Next important work is Energy of Delusion, 1930. In this essay, Shklovsky explored the role of deception and illusion in literature. He discusses how literary works can create a sense of cognitive estrangement, challenging readers' preconceptions and inviting them to engage more actively with the text. Next is Literature and Cinematography, 1923. Shklovsky extends his formalist ideas to the realm of cinema, examining the technique used in filmmaking to defamiliarize and transform the perception of reality. This essay reflects his interest in various art forms and their shared principles. Next is Third Factory, 1926. Shklovsky's autobiographical work provides insight into his life, experience, and intellectual development. It offers a glimpse into the Russian literary and cultural scene of the early 20th century, providing context for his formalist ideas. Now let's see the key concepts and contributions by Ślązowski. First is defamiliarization. Ślązowski's most enduring concept, defamiliarization, challenges the atomic and routine perception of everyday objects by presenting the familiar in an unfamiliar way. Artistic force audiences to experience the world with a renewed awareness. Next is artistic language and deviation. Ślązowski emphasized the importance of artistic language characterized by linguistic devices that deviate from ordinary practical language. These deviations, such as metaphors and simile, contribute to the unique and aesthetic quality of literary work. Next is formalism's impact on literary studies. Ślązowski, along with other formalists, contributed to shift in literary studies by focusing on inherent structures and forms of literary works. This departure from historical and biographical criticism paved the way for the development of structuralism and other literary theories. Friends, Victor Ślązowski's intellectual legacy extends beyond his time, influencing subsequent generations of literary theorists. His commitment to exploring the formal elements of literature and art continue to shape discussions on the nature and function of creative expression. Now let's turn our attention to Boris Eichenbaum. In the Theory of the Formal Method 1921, he lays out the fundamental principles of formalism, stressing the autonomy of a literary language and the importance of studying literature based on its form. Now let's see important works by Boris Eichenbaum. First is the Theory of the Formal Method 1921, one of Eichenbaum's most influential essays. This work outlines the key principles of formalism. Eichenbaum argues for the autonomy of literary language and the importance of focusing on the form of literary works rather than their content. He introduced the concept of a formal method as a way of studying literature based on its inherent structure. Next is How Gogol's Overcoat is Made, 1990. In this essay, Eichenbaum applies formalist principles to the analysis of a Nikolai Gogol's short story The Overcoat. He emphasizes the significance of literary devices and techniques such as narrative, perceptive, and imagery in shaping the meaning of a work. Next is Pushkin and the Historical School of Philosophy, 1927. Eichenbaum explores the relationship between literature and history in this essay. He critiques the Historical School of Philosophy for its emphasis on extrinsic factors, arguing that the formalist approach provides a more insightful understanding of literary works through the study of their form. Next is The Literary Fact, 1928. In this work, Eichenbaum expands on formalist ideas by introducing the concept of the literary fact. He argues that literary works are unique entities with their own laws and structure, distinct from other forms of discourse. The essay emphasizes the importance of studying literature as a specific and self-contained phenomena. Now let's see the key concept and contributions. First is formal method. Eichenbaum's notion of the formal method is central to formalist principles. This method involves analyzing the inherent structure and devices within literary works, independent of external factors such as authorial intent or historical context. Next is autonomy of literary language. Like other formalists, Eichenbaum stressed the autonomy of a literary language. He argued that the language of literature has its own rules and functions, different from everyday language, and should be studied on its own terms. Next is shift from historical context. Eichenbaum's works contributed to the formalist shift away from his historical and biographical interpretations of literature. He advocated for a focus on the intrinsic qualities of literary works, fostering a more systematic and objective approach to literary analysis. Next is importance of literary devices. Eichenbaum emphasized the significance of literary devices and techniques in shaping the meaning and impact of literary work. His analysis often focused on how specific narrative techniques, imagery, and language choices contributed to the overall artistic effect. Boris Eichenbaum's contribution to formalism have had a lasting impact on the study of literature. His insistence on the autonomy of literary language and the formal analysis of works laid the groundwork for subsequent developments in literary theory and criticism. Next important critique is Yuri Tenenov. Yuri Tenenov contributes with the literary fact 1924, exploring the uniqueness of literature as a self-contained entity. He argues for studying literature based on its specific laws and structure, marking another milestone in formalist thought. Yuri Tenenov, a key figure in the Russian formalist movement, was born on October 6, 1894 and became a prominent literary critic, theorist and writer. His contribution to formalism, particularly during the early 20th century, have left a lasting impact on the understanding of literature. Here is an overview of some of his notable works. First is The Literary Fact, 1924. In this influential essay, Tenenov explores the concept of the literary fact and argues for the autonomy of literature as a distinct and self-contained phenomena. He emphasizes the need to study literature based on its specific laws and structure, contributing to the formalist focus on the inherent qualities of literary works. Next is The Problem of Verse Language, 1924. Tenenov dwells into the unique language of poetry in this work, exploring how verse language differs from everyday language. He discusses the specific linguistic features that characterize poetic language and contribute to the aesthetic qualities of poetry. Next is On Literary Evolution, 1927. This essay addresses the evolution of literary forms and styles over time. Tynenov discusses the dynamic nature of literary evolution, highlighting how genres and modes of transform and adapt in a response to changing cultural and historical context. Next is Ararat, 1933. Apart from his critical and theoretical works, Tynenov was also a fiction writer. Ararat is one of his novels showcasing his ability to apply theoretical ideas to creative writing. The novel explored themes of a culture and historical change against the backdrop of the Russian Revolution. Next is Permanent Evolution, 1927. In this essay, Tynenov builds on the concept of literary evolution, emphasizing that literature is a constant state of a change. He explores how literature evolves not only in response to external influences but also through internal transformation within the realm of language and form. Now let's see key concepts and contributions. Literary fact. Tynenov's concept of the literary fact is central to his formalist approach. This idea underscores the uniqueness of literature as an independent and self-regulating system with its own internal principles and structures. Next is verse language. Tynenov's exploration of verse language contributes to the formalist understanding of the distinctiveness of a poetic language. He identifies specific linguistic features that differentiate poetry from prose, emphasizing the importance of form in the analysis of poetic works. Next is literary evolution. Tynenov's discussions on literary evolution challenge static views of literature. He sees literary forms and genres as dynamic entities that adapt and transform over time, influenced by both internal and external factors. Next is interdisciplinary approach. Yuri Tynenov's interdisciplinary approach to literary studies, drawing on linguistics, history, and other fields, reflects the broader formalist movement's commitment to exploring literature through a range of perspectives. Friends, Yuri Tynenov's works, marked by their intellectual depth and interdisciplinary insights, have contributed significantly to the development of formalist theory and its influence on the broader field of literary studies. And lastly, we have Roman Jakobson. In Linguistics and Poetics, connects linguistics and poetics, introducing the poetic function of a language. This work extends formalist principles to the study of language in poetry. Roman Jakobson, a prominent linguist and literary theorist, was a key figure in the Russian formalist movement and later contributed to structuralism. Born on October 11, 1896, Jakobson's work spans both linguistic theory and literary criticism. And here is an overview of some of his notable works. First is Linguist and Poetics, 1960. In this influential essay, Jakobson explored the relationship between linguistics and poetics. He introduces the concept of the poetic function of a language, highlighting the aesthetic and communicative aspects of literary language. This work significantly contributes to the study of how language functions in poetry. Next is Closing Statement, Linguistics and Poetics, 1964. Jacobson expands on the ideas presented in his earlier essay addressing the relationship between linguistic structure and poetic form. He emphasizes the importance of the poetic function in language, arguing that poetic structure have a unique impact on the overall communication process. Next is Two Aspects of a Language and Two Types of Aphasic Disturbances, 1956. This seminal work, co-authored with Maurice Halley, explores language and its relation to aphasia, that is language disorders. Jacobson introduced the concept of the metaphoric and metonymic poles in language, providing insight into how these elements contribute to the structure of a language. Shifters, verbal categories, and Russian verb. Shifters, verbal categories, and the Russian verb, 1957. Jacobson's linguistic analysis in this work explored the nature of shifters, words whose reference relies on the context of the utterance. He examines the Russian verb system to illustrate how linguistic categories function within specific culture and linguistic concept. Next is on Realism in Art, 1921. One of Jacobson's early essays, this work engages with the formalist approach to literature. Jacobson discusses the concept of realism in art and literature, providing insight into how artistic representation relates to reality. Next is Key Concept and Contributions by Roman Jacobson. First is Poetic Function of a Language. Jacobson's concept of the poetic function of a language is central to his contribution to formalism. This idea highlights the specific use of language in poetry, where the focus is on the form and aesthetic qualities of expressions. Next is Metaphor and Metonymy. Jacobson's exploration of metaphor and metonymy as fundamental elements in language has become influential in both linguistic and literary theory. He identifies these tropes as integral to the way language conveys meaning and significance. Next is Shifters. Jacobson's analysis of shifters contributes to the understanding of linguistic deixis, the way language points to or refers to elements in the context of communication. This concept is crucial in understanding how language creates meaning in specific situations. Next is Structuralism. Jacobson's later work aligns with Structuralism, a theoretical framework that focuses on the underlying structure that organizes human experience. His contribution to the Structuralism have influenced a wide range of fields, including linguistics, semiotics, and literary theory. Roman Jacobson's interdisciplinary approach, spanning linguistics and literature, has had a profound impact on the study of language and literary theory. His work continued to be influential in the field of structuralism and semiotics, shaping our understanding of how language functions in both everyday communication and artistic expression. Friends, as you dive into the complexities of formalism for UGC NET English, engaging with the works of this critic is essential. Whether it's Slovodsky's defamiliarization, Eichenbaum's formal method, Tininov's literary fact, or Jacobson's linguistic poetics, each offers a unique lens to understand literature. Friends, if you found this exploration enlightening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned for more literary insight. I'm your friend signing off from Literary Insight. Happy reading and all the best. Thank you.